Hello. Today I will be walking you through my lesson plan for the use of propaganda in Red Scarf Girl. So, the central focus of my lesson is helping students to imagine that they are working for the Chinese government's marketing department. They will be helping them to create a propaganda poster of their choosing. Now, this meets a couple of the state standards, such as using technology, including the internet, to produce and publish writing and to collaborate with others, link to and cite sources, and then type a complete product in a single setting. It also utilizes the standard of including multimedia components and visual displays in their presentations. Okay, so the two objectives today are to helping the students create the propaganda poster of their choice, either in general support of Chairman Mao and the Cultural Revolution, or to encourage students to join the Red Army. And also, they will be presenting their posters to the class, explaining and justifying what they did and why they did it. So the students have already read The Scarf Girl and studied the Revolution as well as the Red Army and their importance. So they already have this prior learning skill and skills needed for this. They've also been shown propaganda and examples of it and recognize its use and relevance throughout the story. The lesson will actually touch on that a little bit more, but in general, they already have a knowledge of what it is. Specifically, students, the personal knowledge and the community knowledge, they will be talking about propaganda and its use in general, examples of it today, how propaganda gains their attention, and they can share what motivates them in the media and what they're looking for. And then specifically, they will be able to use a lot of their personal knowledge if they choose to use to create the poster, encouraging students to join the Red Army, because they could apply what they as teenagers would want to know and learn that would motivate them to join the Red Army, since they have the primary target audience of the government. So I do have a couple of supports that are planned. I'm not going to allow them to choose their partners. I'm going to place them with certain partners so that I can make sure that we put together students who are maybe visual learners with students who are really well in their writing. I'm going to provide them templates for Google Slides, and then I'm going to place the two ELL learners with other students who I know can help them out. I know that they might have a little bit of difficulty coming up with something that can be creative and something that will gain attention, but I'm going to provide them with plenty of examples of this so that they can do this to the best of their ability. So now that I've told you about what we're going to be doing, I'm going to describe to you in a couple minutes exactly what our lesson is going to look like and what materials and things that we're going to use to teach it. Before I begin teaching the lesson, I'm going to make sure that I have my PowerPoint ready to go. I have examples printed or displayed. I'm going to make sure that I have the rubric ready to display, as well as my list of students that I'm going to be pairing together. Okay, each student will need their laptop and then a think sheet, which they'll be given at the end of class. So to hook students' interest into the lesson, I'm going to have them talk about and imagine if they are part of the Chinese government's marketing department. Okay, so we're going to talk about a quick overview of what their assignment's going to be, but then explain to them that we've got a long way to go before we actually get to working on the assignment. So we are going to start out talking about propaganda in general, what it is and why it's important. I'm going to not only give the definition of propaganda, but I'm also going to talk about examples of it in history, examples of images such as Rosie the Riveter or the I want you to join the U.S. Army, examples like that of how propaganda has been used in the past. I'm also going to show some more relevant videos today of propaganda, such as endorsing products or encouraging people to wear their seatbelts. So I'm going to talk about like the history and relevant times when propaganda is used. I'm going to be careful to explain to them that oftentimes propaganda can get a bad rap and it's used in negative connotation, but it can also be used for positive things like endorsing products or getting people to wear their seatbelts, okay? But I will also show them examples of how it can be used to demean people, such as during an election, or it can be used to just convince people of why their government might be better than others, et cetera, et cetera. So once we have talked about what propaganda is, as well as shown examples of it, and then we're going to talk about why propaganda is used and why it's important. It's important to show students different reasons why it's used, such as to generate fear or to, like I've already stated, endorsing a product. All these examples And I'm even going to allow them to come up with some ideas of their own, talk about examples of propaganda today that they've seen, what interests them, what gets their attention, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to have them just talk about things that in general make them want to do something, make them want to buy something, something that tries to sway or convince them to do something else. After they fully understand what propaganda is, I'm going to then describe the assignment to them. I'm going to describe to them that they get to choose between those two posters and go ahead and divide them into pairs so that they can be thinking about which poster that they want. So when they've decided which one they want, they will each be given a rubric, not only of what they're going to be graded on later for the presentation, but also what description and what things need to be included in their poster. Such things as images that are relevant to what their topic is, that have to do with the focus of their overall poster, words and phrases that are going to be attention grabbers, things that are going to be short enough for somebody to read, but descriptive enough to accomplish their goal. We're going to be talking about the use of Google Slides. I'm going to show them examples of propaganda posters that are being created on Google Slides. I might even show them a tutorial too, or give them a link to a tutorial of how to use Google Slides in general. And I'm also going to talk to them about their roles as partners and how one person is going to focus on the visual side of it, coming up with those photos, coming up with where they're going to place them in the poster. And then one is going to focus more on the language side, creating those words and phrases and whatever they're actually trying to linguistically communicate. And then they're going to come back together and put it all together and put a pretty little bow on it. So after students have been given a sufficient amount of time to create these posters, then they are going to be called up pairs at a time to come up and explain them and justify their posters, why they picked the images, why they picked those certain words, why they placed it how they did, and how successful they think that their poster is going to be. So once they are given all of these things, they have explained all of this, they've made their presentation, then the students are going to be given a think sheet where they will then kind of reflect on what they did throughout the lesson. They're going to choose which poster they created, explain their overall goal of designing the poster. Then they're going to identify 5 different locations where they will place their poster and then defend each of those locations. So I've chosen to place it on a salon and this is why. Or I've chosen to place it at the grocery store and this is why. And then lastly, I'm going to ask them how successful they think that their poster will be and what results and or feedback that they're expecting from the community. So after they complete the think sheet, depending on if there's time in class or if it's going to end up being homework, they will be given an extension activity. So the extension activity is going to be evaluating and critiquing someone else's poster. So at this point, I will either give them the links or wherever they were submitted, I will assign them to different partners. But the extension activity, will be completed individually. So they're going to critique their partner's poster on how well the images are relevant to their topic, how well the words draw you in and entice you. I'm going to encourage you to either, like I said, support the revolution or to support the army. So once they have completed all of this, they will create a 25-word writing prompt that explains their critique and their judgment of their partner, okay? So overall, they're being assessed on the creation of and presentation of the poster, okay? They will be scored based on a rubric. Extended time will be given for the English language learners and other students who might have IEPs. This assignment is going to overall help you help you gather the information if they understand how to use relevant images, how their grammar and spelling is, how well they present and explain things. And overall, it just helps them to work cooperatively with others to discuss the use of propaganda in the media and provide an example of it on their own. Thanks for listening.